My name is Happy Gilmore. How are you? Proud to be part of the 2025 NHL Draft. The Boston Bruins select from Boston College, James Hagens. Way to go, homie!
Oh man, that was, the highlight for James, that's for sure. And something we've been playing on the airwaves. It's been circulating, and for good reason. We're going to talk about that, but just quick, James Hagens, 7th overall, 7th pick in the draft, going to BC and going to the Boston Bruins, hopefully, eventually. But the whole Adam Sandler thing, I loved it. Who didn't?
Still trying to look at you.
Yeah.
Did you get the follow? Was Razor able to help you solidify?
Oh my God. No, so what I said, I think it was Gary Bettman who said, or was it, I don't know, he's like, one of the biggest Bruins fans out there, Adam Sandler. And I was like, if he's the biggest Bruins fan, why isn't he following us
if
on
he's a
Instagram?
real one.
Let's go. Do you not watch? Hello,
Yeah.
I'm your host. Hi.
Right. If he's a real one,
I'm here.
Nesson and Sophia, I need to see
follow
it on the
us.
follow.
We're going to get there. Don't worry. I will find a way to get that done. Maybe when he does this like press tour or something like that. Or should I just keep DMing him or bothering him? I don't know.
Don't the kids these days do the slide up, like you heart stories?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Hit him with the slide up.
I don't know what to do, but we'll figure it out. Maybe James can get me a follow from Adam Sandler. My question to you, I was thinking about this. Obviously, the teams don't know who they're picking depending on how it's going. So I'm like, where was he? Was this happening live, or you guys said you think he recorded like 20 names?
I feel like he did the 20-name recording.
That's annoying.
You know, it is super annoying.
That's
but
annoying.
Time is money. I can't imagine what else Adam Sandler's running around doing.
Like
so,
he's not sitting around on Friday night being like, okay guys, I'm in front of this yellow screen and I'm gonna go when you're ready, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Imagine they played the wrong sound.
Oh my gosh. Well, considering how that draft house stuff was going down, wasn't a fan of it. But that's the other reason why I don't know if it was live, because it feels like there was too many things being tested out for the first time. Like Adam Sandler would have been here forever.
Yeah.
Imagine if we traded the pick. At least we could put that conversation to bed finally, right?
Okay, yeah, so I guess if they traded the pick, then they probably would have canceled the Adam Sandler intro.
I would hope.
I don't know.
Depends on how up to the gun it was.
But it worked out well. It worked out well for that presentation and how that went. Wait, I had one more question about Adam Sandler, and I totally forgot what it was, but it doesn't matter because we're just going to talk. I'll think of it somewhere. I'm trying to stall over here. We'll come back to it. No, but that being such a big deal for James Hagens, and him saying like, what are the chances? There are a lot of good movies out there. He's a young kid, not for nothing. The original Happy Gilmore was a long time ago, and I love that that's his favorite movie, and that would have been just like such a sweet moment for him, which he said it obviously was.
Yeah.
Kasey, I'm not going to pretend here that I know a lot about James Hagens other than what I've read, right? I'm not going to be here. I'm not a scout. I'm not an NHL scout, but we've got to read a lot. I'm going to meet him this week at development camp.
Yep.
He was supposed to report today, but there have been some travel delays. You saw that on Twitter? Yep. Okay, so some travel delays, so he won't be at camp today, but we're going to get to know him. But from what you've read, from what you know, what do you make of this pick for the Boston Bruins?
I was actually excited. I didn't talk about him much because there was 2 other guys highly on my radar for this, but I will say this. I spent my Valentine's Day with my best friend, her husband, and our other best friend. They came up to Boston for the Four Nations tournament.
Yeah.
And on Valentine's Day, UMass was playing BC, and that's the only place that my best friends wanted to be, was to go watch a BC game. So we actually went. Hagens picked up an assist in the 3rd quarter on that one, and after the game, him and his brother Michael, with the utmost patience, signed everything that came at them, stood for picture after picture after picture. I'm talking like, it felt like well over an hour after the game. Just the best sportsmanship, and just really, really nice kids for one, or I don't want to call them kids, nice guys. But what I will say is that I'm excited to see what his potential is in terms of timing fitting in with the Bruins, and all the highlight films that we have seen since he got drafted, and even beforehand, if you watch his career at BC, the kid's an absolute slot machine. And being able to register goals from the slot has become a big theme for any team to find success. That was how the Blues kept it interesting versus the Jets, and just completely putting Connor Hellebuyck on his toes and really making him work for it. So a lot of things to be excited about when it comes to Hagens, but more so the character. I mean, my best friend's sons now have signed merch by James Hagens that they will be so excited to wear as they get older.
Why? I want to ask a hockey question, but first I want to ask, why is that the only place they wanted to be? Did they go there?
No. So my best friend's husband is big on hockey. He's from Pittsburgh, and for some reason, he's just more dialed into college hockey than anything else. And so Boston College, because of their production of NHLers as well as BU, he just kind of gravitated towards that years ago and stuck with it. So the boys have had Boston College hockey merch since they came out of the womb. 2 out of the 3 boys that my best friend has know that they want to go to Boston College. The third one, not speaking so much yet, but I'm sure he'll jump on board as well soon.
Okay, I love that. I love that you guys went to a college hockey game, and I love that even though not from here, that's got the lore and the reputation.
It's loud.
Yeah, and like that's something that James Hagens were saying, like they see the facilities, they know the reputation. Like he wanted to be in Boston for college, and then he's like, I wanted to come back, or I guess stay, but I wanted to come back. So this is, such a win-win for him. And then the joke, of course, 6 guys that potentially could end up with the Boston Bruins playing in BC for the Eagles. So people calling them the Boston Bruins Eagles, blah, blah, blah.
Bruins College.
Yeah, Bruins College or whatever it is. It's just working out that way. I know that the scouts and Don Sweeney and management, they're not like drafting just because of that, but it is helpful. We had Brick and Razor on. It is helpful to not be so far away, to be able to bring guys up without traveling them. So the joke, here we go. Just found the new logo for Boston College next season. And there you go. We got the eagle there on the Boston Bruins crest. Hold on. Producer Brendan just said something. Say it again because I didn't catch it.
Hagens has landed.
Oh. He is at development camp. Okay, just kidding about the travel. He will be there. So great. I think we're going to talk to him today, but at some point this week, I'll definitely get some more information on these guys. Are we playing sound? I think we get to hear from James Hagens at some point. I'm asking that actually to the producer. Yes, we are. Okay, great. We're going to toss to James Hagens. I'm going to gather my thoughts. Let's hear from him after the draft.
Hey, James, welcome. There was a lot of speculation today about your hometown team maybe trading up to get you. Were you following that, and what was that? What was your day like?
Yeah, I stay away from all that stuff. I had no idea where I was going to end up. I'm so grateful that I'm ending up at Boston, that I'm a Bruin, and that I'm not leaving the Boston area. I wanted to go to college in Boston, and it just turned out that the Bruins picked me. So I'm super grateful that it worked out.
James, did you eventually get to talk to Bruins management? And if so, what did that conversation go like?
I just got off the phone with them. It was really good. Just really excited to get to training camp and to be able to see them in person.
Hey, James, congratulations on getting drafted. There's obviously a bunch of BC teammates of yours that have been drafted by the Bruins too, that you're playing with. What have they told you, if you've ever asked them, about what it's like to get drafted by the Bruins, be a prospect, go to development camp, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, they take it with a lot of pride. It's such an honor to be able to get drafted by an organization like this. You just have to be so grateful. Training camp, it's just making sure you're ready for it, making sure you're showing your best on the ice, and you're trying to make the team. So,
James, congratulations. For starters, what goes into your thought process about whether or not to go back to school, or whether or not to take the step forward?
Yeah, it's a talk that sure I'll have with the staff when I see them. Good thing is it's right down the street from each other, so I'm glad it all worked out.
James, congratulations. For Bruins fans who haven't seen your game and what you bring on the ice, what is your skill set, and what can Bruins fans look forward to from seeing you in a couple of years?
Yeah, just excitement. A player that has a really good hockey IQ, loves to skate with the puck. It's an exciting player to watch, so that'll put his heart and soul on the line, give it his all to the team.
James, a couple of questions. First of all, congrats. And obviously, when you were making the decision to go to Boston College, you had nothing in your head that this could happen. What was it about choosing Boston College and Boston? How much of what you knew about Boston factored into that decision? back then.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the city. I just loved being in Boston. I grew up playing so many hockey tournaments in Boston, so I knew the area, knew it really well. I wanted to be on the East Coast, and I went to school at BC, and now I'm a Boston Bruin. So it's tough to, picture that before the draft. I'm super grateful it worked out, and that I'm in this spot now.
And we're expecting to see you at development camp on Monday. What do you think? How do you think it's going to feel that, that first few shifts or that whole experience?
Yeah, it'll feel good. We've skated at Warrior a bunch of times this year for practices, so it's not like it's going to be a new rank or anything. And I know a bunch of the prospects that will be there as well, so it'll be really nice.
Hey, James, congratulations. Were you surprised to not go in the top 5, or how did you kind of handle that? Was there any disappointment involved?
I wanted to be at a spot that wanted me the most, and I wanted to be at a good spot. I'm so lucky that I ended up being a Boston Bruin. It's the best spot in the world. It's a dream come true for me, and I know for my whole entire family. So I'm just so excited right now. I'm really excited to be able to say that I'm a Boston Bruin, and I take a lot of pride in that.
James, with the way you fell a little bit in the draft, do you think your season at BC was underappreciated? And is there all a chip on your shoulder to prove people wrong?
Yeah, I think next year you'll be able to hopefully see. I thought this year was really good. You just got to go out there next year and prove everyone that passed on you wrong. But hey, I'm in a spot where I want to be. I want to be a Boston Bruin, and I'm really excited to get things going. So,
James, congratulations. I know you said it's a conversation with management about when you make that jump, but having played with a couple of guys who did make the jump last year, how close do you think you are to being ready?
Yeah, I'm weighing around 190 now. So physically, I've been able to put on weight. Physically, been able to get in the gym and get ready. I want to play in the NHL as soon as possible. Whether that's a conversation with the team, whether you're doing that now or once the college season's over, that's a conversation we'd have to have.
2 questions, James. First of all, kind of a fun one. Adam Sandler selecting you. When you saw that, were you just like, what is happening? Is this real?
Yeah, I saw him pop up, and I remember looking at my mom, and I just had the biggest smile on my face because I loved Happy Gilmore. It was my favorite movie, so it was right away the coolest thing. And then, as he starts talking, you hope to hear that he's going to say Boston College, and he ended up saying Boston College, and I waited an extra second to hear my name and stood up. From there, it was just, it was nuts. I remember walking down the aisle, seeing him riding his golf club or whatever it was, like it was a horse, so that was pretty funny.
My other question is about your time at BC. When you've been there, you obviously have had a few other guys on your team that have been drafted really high in the first round. Were there any of those guys that you learned from? And what did you take away from that, as well as have any of those guys texted you to tell you congrats?
Yeah, I haven't been really able to look at my phone right now, so but I talked to Gabe, I talked to Ryan, I talked to Fowler, I talked to all those guys that were high picks almost every day. So they're a big step of this year. Just being by my side through it all, being able to talk to those guys, being able to see how they act, how they go about their day, how they act as pros. So
congratulations, James. You've had some excellent teammates at BC and an excellent team. Probably haven't achieved all you thought you could. Do you feel like there's unfinished business there? And what have you learned so far that you hope to take into the coming season with the Eagles to try to get over the top?
Win a national championship in a beam pot.
Yeah, that would be fun. One of the questions that he was asked was if he's ready to make the jump into the NHL, or I think it was like, are you going to continue the college route or go to the NHL? That's not his choice, everybody, okay? That is not up to him. I mean, it's up to him in a way that, like, if he prepares and shows up, in that way, that's in his control. But he doesn't go to Sweens or to, Greg Brown and say, like, hey, guys, sorry, I'm going to go to the NHL. That opportunity needs to come. There are a couple things that need to happen. Brick and Razor were on the desk on Saturday when we had our show. Size is one of them. Board, like what you normally see with every young player. It's like your strength along the board, strength on the puck, size, speed, maybe. He's got great hands is one of the reads on him. But you had a good point to how maybe this year's college experience might help him prepare for the NHL better. What's that about, Kasey?
What's that about?
Yeah.
Because another thing that was talked about is like some people kind of underestimating, where am I from today? Underestimating his ability to be the skilled player that's listed on his resume because he was playing next to Ryan Leonard and Perreault. But I think that one more year in college will do tremendous things because as of August 1st, we get this merger where Canadian players can declare to play D1 hockey. And we've heard a number of those commits throughout the draft. And considering how many OHLers were picked up in the first and second round, considering how many Canadians were picked up in the first and second round, the big jump off from what we saw over the past two drafts where USHL guys were really kind of like the go-to to grab out of the draft and be more NHL ready. OHL players, CHL players, they're closer to being NHL ready, which is going to just level up the competition in college hockey this upcoming year. College hockey took another step this previous season, so I feel like Hagens would get a really great learning curve going against a different level of competition in a more intensified college market for hockey.
So you're saying because, which I totally agree with you, but just to like recap, because now Canadian players can go and play college and you have these different skill sets that are now all of a sudden competing for roster spots in colleges, the competition's just going to be better and you're going to be playing with like different athletes and different experiences. And that can help.
It's almost how we talk about in basketball, like guys that play overseas, you're playing against men, you're playing against more maturity. Like OHL just has a different degree to it. And a lot of these Canadian players have a different degree to their paths to getting over to, American leagues or the NHL as a whole. So I feel like it's going to help him a lot. And you want him to come in ready. We don't want him to be discouraged because there's just been so much conversation around development, especially when it comes to the Bruins. So one more year, I think it's going to do him justice. He gets to stay in that weight room. And I know you can't get reps outside of the NHL better than the NHL. I just think that the step that college hockey is taking is going to prepare him so much better. And then we're jokingly or not jokingly talking about him being a first-line center. So if you want him to step up there with Pasta and be able to clean up the plays that we saw him do so well, then like one more year at college with him being fed the puck, kind of being more of that goal scorer versus the puck distributor, I think would help a lot.
Yeah, no, obviously this year is going to be huge for him, and I love what you mentioned about Perreault and Leonard not being there anymore, so, you get more of ice time, more spotlight, whatever it is.
More leadership.
And leadership, yeah, exactly. And we'll see what the Bruins, what their needs are. Do they take a look at him? Could be a couple of years, too. You never know. You don't necessarily want to wait that long when you're excited about this pick, but it could be a couple of years. All right, guys, we also got Ryan Nadeau, as in we, that would being our team, but Judd Sirott got Ryan Nadeau one-on-one after the draft just to pick his brain on the rest of the picks and the direction that the Boston Bruins went in. So let's play that for you.
Ryan, let's start here. Big picture. A lot of the picks that you made today, if you look at it in total, what do you feel like this group adds to the organization?
Well, I think first and foremost, we added a lot of high-end ability, a lot of offensive upside, some skill, some pace, just a few players that have some excitement with the puck.
The headliner obviously came on night one, and that's James Hagens. And if I had asked you back in January or what your reaction would be, if James Hagens was going to be able to fall to you at 7, what would have been your reaction back then?
Well, I would have been really surprised, one, that to be in a spot to pick James Hagens first, and then, to have him available, a player with that much excitement with the puck, that much ability to dictate the game, that's just a real exciting pick for us.
Beyond some of the guys beyond James Hagens, who was taken in the first round, who were you really excited was available to you when you started picking in the second round and beyond?
Well, I mean, certainly when we look at Will Moore and what he brings to the table, that's a player that for us, we certainly had some very high ratings on him and think, there's a lot of skill and ability that can really help, augment our group. And throughout it, it's a unique process in that as you watch it, like there was a point where, there were a number of players right before even we picked Will Moore that there were a lot of players on the board, and you're like, wow, this is a good group. Like just excitement to be able to be in a spot to make a pick there.
In the big picture, and you've been doing this for a while, just how vital is it to be able to find legitimate NHL players beyond the first round?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of focus goes into those first round and higher end picks, and rightfully so. But yeah, we've got to work really hard to find players throughout the draft that can add some value to the organization in terms of being able to impact at all different spots. It's obviously a lot harder to find a top line or a top six or even a middle six or a top pair D type later in the draft, but there's a lot of value to being able to find players that can play for your NHL team or become an asset to play for someone else's team.
For the last couple of years, the GM Don Sweeney has mentioned, I really need to be able to give my amateur guys more picks, more swings. I haven't been able to do that because the team has used some of those assets to get others to help them at the NHL level. I guess with that in mind, because you had a lot of opportunities, how different was it for you and the staff this season for the draft?
Yeah, it was certainly unique on our end to be in a situation to make a lot of picks, particularly a high pick in the first round and have second round picks. Like it's kind of funny because I've been with the Bruins for a long time and been with Don Sweeney and Cam Neely for a long time, and he's typically apologizing to us for not having picks, but we obviously we're in this to win. So we love being in the playoffs and love chasing to get another cup. Like so it's you get over the disappointment of, man, the season didn't really turn out the way we envisioned, but then you're quickly excited to say, hey, we can help be part of the process to restock this and get us back quickly in the right direction. So, it's kind of bittersweet to look at it and say, normally we don't have this amount of picks, and, but now Don comes to us and says, hey, we've got some capital, you guys got to do your stuff. So, certainly energize the group and really focused on how we can bring in some players that have an opportunity to make a big impact for the organization.
Ryan, last thing, and I really appreciate your time. Now that the draft has ended, how long does it take for you and your staff to be able to evaluate how successful this class is, and what do you use to judge those attributes?
Yeah, so we'll take some time to actually first go back and talk about and reflect on how the draft played out, the actual execution and process of moving around the board and exploring potential trades in different scenarios. Then we'll watch our guys at development camp, and that's just the first real step once you draft them. It takes almost draft classes up to 5 years to really have a good feel for where the whole class went, where we may have undervalued certain players, where we maybe overvalued others. So we'll continue that process. We always reflect and look at different ways that we can do things better. But we'll certainly spend some time sort of just decompressing for a bit, but then quickly into dev camp. We don't have a lot of time there. And then, we really go into and turn the clock pretty quickly on the next set of draft picks. So we'll start scouting as soon as next week. We'll have guys going to different events and starting to, really tie together next year's draft.
Ryan, thanks a ton.
All right, guys. This is from Connor Ryan, of course, sipping his Dunkin' in his profile picture. I loved asking him about that. Connor Ryan at Development Camp. Yours truly. I will be driving there after the show. But there you has it. James Hagens and William Moore are officially on the ice, and and Cole Chandler. Poor Chandler didn't get the tweet in Connor Ryan's tweet. Cole Chandler also
your 133rd pick. Connor.
Exactly, dude. Get on it. But yeah, they're at development camp. So guys, that's happening all week at Warrior Ice Arena from Monday to Thursday. Friday, of course, being the 4th. There will not be development camp, but we're going to get to know the players a whole lot more. Kasey, really quick, because we got to send it to break. You wanted to give a little something
Shout
about
out
William
to
Moore?
William Moore. Everyone should be excited. 6'3", 181, another center, going to BC.
And?
And he kills it on the piano, which we love to see. They have so many studies about guys who take classical music as a whole and how that translates to their game strategy-wise, anticipation-wise. You want to see that from a hockey player, somebody who can anticipate their opponent, kind of manipulate them a little bit. I don't know. I love the idea of it. So.
Okay. Well, on a slower day in the middle of the summer when we don't have a lot to talk about, I'll let you talk about them for 20 minutes, okay? But right now...
You'll give me 20 minutes.
Right now, we
just need to find out his favorite song to play, honestly, and I'm fine.
I'll ask him that today.